Hi everyone, Jess here, and today I'm joined with Maurice Jenkins from Miami International Airport. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Jess, it's always a pleasure. It's good to see you again.
It's great to have you here again. So firstly, how do you align your digital initiatives with your sustainability goals? Is it a case of compromising or can they be complementary?
It's an interesting question, and you look at it, the goal and the intent is to make it complementary, because if you can create the proper synergies, you should be able to achieve more successes. So I look at we have from a digital transformation perspective or an innovation perspective is where does sustainability sit? And we want to be able to build a proper framework with that. And I think by marrying the two, you get to enhance a lot of the airport. You can enhance your airport experience. I think I look at it from that perspective of how can I manage more on the, let's say, my energy footprint, but but then again, how can I leverage innovation to manage that? If I want to get to the predictability side to improve upon the airport operations, because it also brings along some challenges, can innovation do that as well? So I don't want to have to sacrifice innovation for sustainability, but if I can actually marry the two and create more efficiencies within my airport, I think it goes and creates a better definition for the user community and for the traveling community in regards to mitigating costs. Maybe let's say also getting to our net zero requirement, and also just enhancing what I define as the experience of the employee as well as the experience of the customer.
Absolutely. And presumably there are some areas of the sustainability challenge that lend itself more to this complementary system. Which sides can be more challenging?
I'm looking at trying to find a defined goal, because you're always competing for resources. So if I look at it from, let's say, an operational perspective, what I would like to have the ability to be able to do is, let's say, be more predictable and plan more on, let's say, availability of stand space, what I call loading bridges or jet bridges. So if I can go ahead and put sensors in them and then harness that level of data, what's the level of predictability of when will it go down? When will it need maintenance? So therefore, I can properly deal with that up front rather than waiting for the downtime for that to occur. Because the impaction point, what is it like coming from the UK? You land and all of a sudden the jet bridge you're supposed to go to is not operational. So now it's another 30 minutes on the tarmac, maybe, which means it's more fuel burn for the airplane. Now you're more so frustrated just coming off of a 10-hour flight, so now your experience level just went down, so now you're frustrated. And so there's more impaction points downstream. So let's look at this one, and what is it like? And I think I was coming through another airport in Europe the other day, and I got off, I have two bags, and the escalator, I'm getting ready to get on the escalator stops working. I had to walk up 50 flights of stairs. All right, so, but did you know ahead of time that it may be due maintenance, and then therefore let's go ahead and deal with that now, and then mitigate operational costs. So it's things that are truly sustainable that you can ingest into our ecosystems, or we should be looking towards and creating that benefit.
Absolutely, and it's things where we can be proactive, even though you can't necessarily foresee exactly when it's gonna happen.
The thing, if you can go from being proactive, you can work towards being predictive. So if I can harness the technology from innovation and gather that data, and you can run models against it, and since based upon the level of utilization and uptime, you can expect some failure between now and then, whatever that window is.
So can you give any specific examples of initiatives that you guys are taking at the airport, either now or in the future, that you think are really going to enhance the passenger experience?
Well, we've looked at several things and we've trialed several. Great point. We've tried virtual queuing. We would like to pursue that a lot more, giving you the opportunity to control your journey. So if you're flying out tomorrow, so you can log in, check in for your flight, and oh, by the way, you can reserve your slot time in the queue to go through security checkpoint rather than dealing with a long queue. And that's another frustration pain point for some, but you get to control the journey. From another thing that we're actually looking at and trying to deep dive into, and it's not really tech requirement, it's more so process engagement, it's this program called One Stop. Because traditionally, let's say if you're going from the UK into Miami and connecting on, let's say, to New York, you have to land, grab your bag, and go through the whole process of rechecking and continue on. changing that dynamic though. When you land, your bag continues. You don't have to get your bag, so it decreases that wait time that you have to worry about. Now you can continue through the process and move on to your connecting flight, enjoy your journey, enjoy food and beverage, and just be a little bit more relaxed rather than going through that. The last thing you want to see is that you get off the plane, you're waiting for your bags to come. I have to make my connection, my bag hasn't come yet, and it just, you create that hysteria. So we're looking at what we call one stop. We're also looking at creating more within the wireless infrastructure space of just providing more value add, especially within the biometrics arena. And just so looking at that, taking some AI modeling and just being able to provide more usability for the traveler using and traversing the airport. So just creating more experiences, because I'm looking at the CX as well as the EX, employee experience as well. It's like, just want to be able to push more initiatives towards that, and that's going to be one of our primary goals.
Fantastic. And then looking forward, what are some of the technologies that you foresee being impactful years into the future? Because we're always thinking about future proofing. What are the ones that are important now but you see longevity in?
To us, and I look at it, robotics. Seeing a lot more in that. Autonomous vehicles, because it offers some additional value add, and I say that to the point because there's always still a challenge of the human capital factor of not having the availability of getting resources in to be able to satisfy some of the job requirements that airports as well as airlines need. I think there's still a continual challenge. So if I take, let's say, I look at it, call it an autonomous vehicle or a robot. I have several that I'm trialing right now that are actually using to clean some of the areas within the airport. And looking at the amount of human capital required to do that, I get a cleaner airport, which means I get cleaner restrooms. If I get cleaner restrooms, your impression says, wow, a clean restroom gives me a clean airport, which means I'm going to go to the restaurant. Everything has a trickle-down effect. So we're looking at that. We're talking with some startups now, looking at a potential for an autonomous lawnmower. And while it sounds crazy, if you look at the footprint of an airport and all that grassy area, as that rises, you still have animals and other things to deal with, but you need the proper height that needs to be cut. If it's extremely hot, getting individuals to go out there and worry about the health and well-being of the employees or weather conditions, you can actually do that so they can focus on other unique tasks that need to be done to give you that proper landscape that the airport requires, but also gives the employee an additional tool to be able to efficiently do their jobs better on top of that as well. And it's an enhancement. It's not taking away from their duties. It's an enhancement to what they do. So I look at autonomous vehicles, as I said before, looking at robotics as one, and just creating biometrics is also going to be key. And I see that also morphing so we can transition into more use cases or more user models of just creating a better dynamic for the consumer. Also, we're looking at this thing, what I call an omni-channel chatbot type solution. Everyone has a mobile app, but every time I travel, if I have to download another app, I normally have to take one away, right? So now how do I battle that? Which one do I keep? And I did a study the other day, funny enough, that with some fourth and fifth graders, and we say, hey, we have an application for you. Would you download it if it gave you this opportunity to do X, Y, or Z? And 80% of them said no. I said, because I would have to delete something off my phone that I want to keep, so I don't want this. So it lends credence, and granted we're talking about Generation X, Y, Z, and millennials, this new Gen AI, we need to listen to them as well, because I think they have the finger on the pulse. So for us, we're looking at what omni-channel chatbot type solution. So use WhatsApp. How do I get from here to there, shortest time period, and what's along my journey? So let's leverage that because it's already available, and it's already available on a large scale to begin with, and it's also scalable. And you only have to use it one time, but you can satisfy a myriad of requirements. So you can walk and talk, and you can actually maximize your energies and maximize your efforts.
That's such an interesting study that you just spoke about, having that's something you're going to have to cater to as well. It's not just can you provide this app, it's can you get people to download the app for you to then create this digital experience.
Yeah, it truly is a challenge, and I've seen, and we've had the conversation, if I have to download one's going to have to come on, right? Because it becomes a space capacity consumption perspective and then learning tool that comes along with it. Everyone uses Messenger, everyone text messages, everyone uses WhatsApp, so you're already there.
Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your insights.
Always a pleasure, always a pleasure.